RC3, it's week 7. Woo! Who's made it this far? Are we all with me?
No.
Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we all the way down? I got pistols to the forehead. Alright. Temple reason. Alright, so if you guys can all go to RC3Club/sign-in and just sign in, that'd be great. Helps us get sponsors and swag for you guys. Alright, so news, we're going to have Joel do it. Just to reiterate what I said last week, if you guys want to come up here and do news, that's cool too. Just let me know what news article you want to do. We'll add it to the newsletter, and you guys can come up here and practice your presenting skills. So you don't have to do all the news, you can just do one piece of news that you think is really, really cool. So, without further ado, Joel's going to take it away.
Okay, so the DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security, they have made this to be a National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So they're going to be doing all sorts of like talks and news posts and stuff about how you can be more aware of being like having a cybersecurity kind of mindset. So that's good. You should kind of follow that and keep yourself updated with that. And there are some links in the slides if you want to get at them. Next, have any of you ever used Signal?
What is Signal?
What is Signal? Signal is a messaging app. It was designed by Whisper Systems, and it's really freaking secure. And not only that, they don't give away their information like Apple does. So there was a subpoena for some information from the FBI, and this is all that they gave out. They literally said that the time that the account was created and the last time they were connected. So that's it.
This restores my faith in humanity.
Yeah.
I also love how they only gave it to him in Unix milliseconds and not even like in an actual date.
Yeah, so they don't even know like time zones either.
From Epoch.
Yeah. Yeah, in addition to that, it's end-to-end encrypted. People like Edward Snowden, who's like obviously should be pretty like worried about security because he's kind of like wanted by us and stuff. He uses it, he trusts it. It's really well encrypted. It's been audited by a ton of people, and so yeah, I would definitely recommend using Whisper or using Signal made by Whisper. It actually replaces it runs over SMS. Technically, so if you send a text to someone who's like Signal, they'll get it in their Signal app, and if they reply, you'll get it in your Signal app, or you can just send it over Signal, and it works out as just SMS. So yeah. Okay, so do any of you know what Trello is? Okay, a couple of you. Trello is a really cool system. It basically is like note cards online. It's like you can have tasks. You can have it shared with people. It's a board. You can have like all sorts of lists of stuff that you need to do or things you want to get done. And it's really, really good. However, they use ImageMagick, which is an imaging library, and it has some serious bugs in it. So one of them is called ImageTragic, and ImageTragic allows some issues with XXD, which is XML external entity. Which is basically you can get the server to download and run code from XML. So if you set like this, this code as your background on Trello, you'll get code execution on the server. So then you have stuff like SSE, which is server-side execution? Yeah, server-side execution. So you can have like the server pinging your server, and then you can be calling back commands, and you can have like the server connect the shell back to you or something. So that's really dangerous. Trello has patched it as far as I know, and they paid them $10,024 because they're classy. So that was pretty dangerous. So if any of you happen to be using ImageMagick, old versions of it in some kind of personal project, make sure that if it's public that you have patched it for ImageTragic and RCE vulnerabilities. How many of you use Dropbox? Or have used Dropbox? Okay, Dropbox got hacked. This was a little while ago. It was in the news, but now the accounts have been leaked. Well, not leaked. they've been released. So yeah, there's 68 million accounts. The passwords are encrypted. Well, some of them are encrypted because they're using SHA-1. But some of them are in bcrypt, some of them are in SHA-1. But the emails are plain text, and if you were to crack the passwords, like I searched for my own and I found my email in there, so that's kind of scary.
So one thing to note with this, and we don't condone this at RC3, but as a research project, you guys could get this dump and then start cracking the hashes, because you all know how to do that from week 2 or 3, whatever we did it here at RC3. You all know how to do that. It's show one, it's pretty simple, it's pretty easy to do. So a lot of people will actually use the same password they use at Dropbox where they work. And if you have their work email, you can pretty much assume that's their login information for their work account. So take that into consideration with dumps like this. They're doing that. They're unhashing all these passwords, and then they're just going around and seeing what they can get into. So that's the bigger picture here. Is this is a lot of accounts. 68 million is a lot.
I can guarantee that probably within a week or 2, you're going to see some kind of report show up of like most used passwords in the Dropbox hack or something, and there'll be like millions of people using like mycat123 or something, like super ridiculous. So yeah, if you guys want to grab that, there's a link in here somewhere. Yeah, and there's torrent links and direct links. I just do it over torrent's password. It's like a lot of gigabytes. Okay, Pornhub. This guy had Pornhub in multiple ways. So basically, he got blind SQL injection. He got remote code execution, I think. No, SSRF. Yeah. So that's pretty scary. Basically, he exploited the way that Pornhub takes like image uploads for profiles as well as video uploads, and they use their own kind of sanitization, but it does unserialize some PHP code. And so he was able to figure out how they were unserializing it and use that to be able to execute his own code. He was able to download full source codes from them. He was able to connect back to his own server. He used, again, XD, which is XML external entity, to so he used these XML files here to basically, so when he sends his own serialized XML and then it calls back, it executes and it would send him a basic foreign-coded source file for their site. And then he was able to get like database access and stuff. So that was pretty big. They did end up passing them, and he got paid $10,000 for that. So if you want to read more in depth, it's a really interesting post. Besides the fact it's porn, it doesn't like porn, right? So remember the cards on security DDoS that last week was huge, the IoT cameras and all that stuff. So the source code has been released for the botnet. Again, just disclosure, use this at your own risk. We're not going to be responsible if you guys like DDoS our IT and take down the mail server, whatever you kids do nowadays. So yeah, it's called Mirai. It's really interesting how it works. If you read through the source code, it's kind of all over GitHub right now. It's listed on hack forums originally. But yeah, it's kind of scary, like that this is now out there in the hands of people, especially because like now people can literally just download something from GitHub, compile it, and then run it, and you have access to millions of devices that you can use to take things down. So this is going to be a big step towards like how they were predicting in the news that bigger size DDoS attacks are going to be kind of the norm. This is going to be why, because they're releasing the source code, and now a lot of people have access to it, and so it's going to be pretty dangerous. Another Snowden, or so they say. So there's this guy, what was his name? Harold Thomas Martin. He stole a bunch of shit from the NSA, and they caught him, and so they're not too happy. But he was employed by Booz Allen Hamilton, which is the same people who employed Snowden. Coincidence? I think years in prison, which is better than Snowden would be facing. So, whether or not that's another Snowden, I don't know.
Up for debate.
I think you'd have to fully brush that.
TBD, right? Alright. Alright, so just want to reiterate, so Grim co-op opportunity for juniors this coming summer. They're looking for 2 juniors. Jamie was here a couple of weeks. He came here in person to do a professional flash talk. He's also a previously RC3 board member when he was here at RAT. He'll be here next weekend and then the week after we come back from Thanksgiving to do interviews. So if you have any questions or if you want to sign up for an interview with him, please contact him at Wumbo in the Slack or jamie@grim.co.com. They're an awesome place to work. Their CEO is awesome. Everyone there is awesome. So definitely apply. Alright, RC4, as you all know, Saturday, October 22nd from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. It's really good. We got a bunch of talks going on. I'm really excited to see how they all play out and all that. So it looks like it's going to be a really great day. We're going to be providing lunch, so definitely come out. Alright, Special Projects Funds, just want to reiterate that Special Projects Fund is something that RC3 has set up that the members are allowed to use funds that RC3 has. There's no other way for members to use funds of RC3 because that's restricted to eBoard only, because eBoard uses it for our events and things of that nature. However, we have set up this fund so that if you want to do a really cool project but you don't have the money to do it and you need equipment or stuff like that, you can write us a quick proposal. We'll take that proposal and we'll do a vote on it, and if we think it'll be cool and beneficial to the security community, we'll fund you. And even if it's going to be more than one semester, like if you're like, I'm going to start out small and see where this goes, then we'll like continue to fund your project. So keep that in mind. If you're doing an RC4 talk and you want to do an RC4 talk and you need equipment, let us know, because if you're doing an RC4 talk, you don't necessarily have to do a proposal. All you have to do is talk to Mike, and if Mike thinks that it's a good purchase, you don't have to do a proposal for RC4. So eBoard meeting, we had one this past Sunday. We discussed about moving forward with RC3 swag. We got a code, but it was really expensive, so be patient with us. We're trying to get you guys the best price for the best quality. So give us time, we're working on that. We're trying to get you within the next couple of weeks some actual selections so you guys know what's going to be happening with that. Most of our discussion was about the CTF that's coming up within the next month, such as prizes, getting sponsors involved and such like that. Alright. So, I couldn't put any more do nots in here. Look right here. I know you're all busy on your computers. Do not come to this room next week. Another organization has this room booked. You can join them if you like, but RC3 won't be here. We'll be upstairs in 2410. Same room that we do demos. So do not come here. You can if you want to join that organization for whatever presentation that they're having, but RC3 won't be here.
That's an even number of coupons, so you're good. What you're saying is 16 per coupon.
I'm just saying you can do whatever you want, but RC3 won't be here. So this week we're going to get Windows defense. So welcome to the black box. So disclaimer as usual, don't say anything dumb. Alright.
Oh, yes, man.
So we all think that Windows is like this, like these guys. They're getting so lit about Windows 95 and how awesome Windows is. I can play all my favorite video games, and it is freaking awesome. Look at that screen, it's shaking. Everyone's getting involved. And then you come to, I'll stop playing. All right, and then you come to RC3, and then you become educated.
I think this might be a bomb disposal ring. We should move away from this. Yes, we should. I don't seem to be able to move. I can't move. What do you mean you can't move? I can't move. You have to move, Roy. I can't move. I'm just having a couple of problems with it. What kind of operating system does it use?
So if you guys feel like you're going to be challenged, there's a lot to learn with it. There's a lot to really get accustomed to. Because it's closed source, a lot of this is like behind the doors, and a lot of it is underneath the hood. And you don't get to see how the operating system works as you do with Linux, where you get to interact with it, configure it, and all that. So it is really hard, but it is a fun challenge. So why Windows? So 70% of all clients are Windows. So if you're going to develop malware, or you're going to try and break into someone's computer, what type of operating are you going to try and attack? So it's going to be Windows. So a majority of the tools that you guys will be using in the coming weeks are going to, such as Metasploit, are going to be geared towards Windows, because that's the majority of the computers you're going to be running into. Just the kind of the progression here with Windows, we have Windows NT, ME in 2000, we have XP in 2003, and then we got to 7, and then 2012. So there's this thing called the ghetto firewall, as we call it here at RIT. What's up?
I disagree. Linux is harder.
Take it at your own will. Take it at your own will. You can all be the judge of that. So we have this thing called the ghetto firewall. That's what we call it here at RIT, and then it moved into the net SSH firewall, and then what we have now is the advanced firewall. So what makes it ghetto? So the ghetto firewall, it has ingress filtering, which means we're only we're filtering what's coming into the box, but we're not filtering what's going out of the box. So if we have malware on the box, it's just getting out to the world, and we're not doing anything about it because we can't, which is really bad. So part of the fight against malware is not letting it in, but also not letting it call out. So if you're not letting it call out, it's sitting there. It's not really hurting you depending on what it's doing if it can't call out. So it's not really useful to the attacker if they can't get the data that they're trying to get from your box. So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's this really important thing called SMB, which is file share and remote admin port, which runs on 445. SMB stands for server message block, which is Windows proprietary protocol. It's important. It's going to be a lot of things of how attackers attack the Windows operating system. So pro tip, learn some CMD and some PowerShell. It's really going to be really useful. Question?
Why does it say the pro top?
Because it does.
Because I wrote this at 3 a.m.
Nice.
So, starting off with simple, Windows processes. It's an instance of a program that's running. So to keep in mind, processes only run when a user is logged in. Alright? So when a user is logged in, then a process will be running under that user. And then we have things called Windows services. Windows services are like the equivalent of a Linux daemon. They're like Windows background process that run whether a user is logged in or not. So kind of like SSH on Linux. So keep that in mind. And then we have this thing called the Windows Registry. The Windows Registry is a hierarchical database structure that contains all the settings and like preferences for users and everything in the Windows operating system. There's a lot to this. If you want to go dig into it, you can. There's a lot of really cool goodies in there. But that's just the TLDR of the Windows Registry. Some good locations to know in the Windows Registry. Startup location. So on boot or login, the programs in these registry locations will run. So that's something that you want to check when you're defending a box to see what is running at boot. And then the Windows firewall, all the firewall rules are placed and saved here in the registry, so that means someone can modify the registry. So, Windows has this thing called Windows Domain Controller. Who knows what a domain controller is? If you don't, that's alright, we're going to explain it to you. So, Windows, what we call a domain controller and what Microsoft refers to it more as is Active Directory. So what is Active Directory? It's a database service that does user authentication. So we have a big database of all our users in the entire company with their username and their password. And instead of having each computer have local accounts, they come to our domain controller / Active Directory and they go, hey, I'm this user, here's the password that I'm trying to give you. And it goes, let me check real quick. Alright, you've given me the right password that I have on file for you as a user. You can log into our domain now. So that makes it really nice in big enterprise environments that we have this thing called Active Directory so that users can move around from computer to computer and log in. And again, these domains provide administrators with a way to manage large numbers of PCs. So again, think about it. If it's good for sysadmins, it's bad for security people most of the time. An Active Directory is DNS based, so everything has a host name. You're assigned a domain. So if you wanted to log into your Active Directory account on a Windows box, you'd be like abc123 is the username at ret.edu. ret.edu would be the domain that you're logging into. And then there's this thing called group policy, which is a single set of rules to apply to all the users and computers in your entire domain, which can be a lot of fun if you know how to play with it. So, again, if it's good for sysadmins, it's usually bad for us. Alright, so just a quick diagram of a domain. So here we have our domain controller, and then we have all our computers that users can log onto and authenticate to our domain. So the user can be logged onto this computer, do work here, and say they have to go move over here to this computer. Their file should go from the server to that computer so that they can still continue to work on it on that remote computer. Alright, so we have this thing called the DOS shell, so imagine a terminal, but worse. So Windows has built themselves on being a GUI application. That's what you guys want, that's what the end user wants, so that's what they've done most of the development, is creating that nice GUI interface that we're all comfortable and love. So the underlying Bash terminal needs some more love and touch. It's really good to know if you're a security person, because as we all know, you can be so much more quicker on the command line than you can the GUI. So keep that in mind when you're doing defense, is that if you're clicking through a whole bunch of different screens, you got 15 different menus up, that's really hard to keep track of which menus got up, which is where. So if you just run simple commands and you know those commands, it can be a lot more effective. And another thing to keep in mind when you're in blue team versus red team competitions, these red team people have scripts. You can't beat a script. It's a computer. It's running at nanoseconds. You're typing maybe a key per second, so that's kind of hard to beat. So keep that in mind, that the command line gives you that advantage to be quicker. So, Microsoft finally went, all right, let's make our command line experience a little bit better. So that's where PowerShell came into. And PowerShell is freaking awesome if you get a chance to actually sit down and learn it. I have been, and I've been really happy with it. So it runs in the .NET framework, has these things called CMD lits, which you can use to add like modules like in Python to give you more flexibility with PowerShell. So it has crazy good documentation. I've been pretty happy with it. I mean, it's like one of the good documentations that Microsoft actually has for their products. So, some quick run commands. So here's a list of common commands that you can type into the run prompt down here to get to these various menus. So if you want to go to the Windows firewall, you do the Windows key R, it'll pop up that little run command box, and then you can do wf.msc. Instead of clicking through, I think when I counted it was like 5 different things to get to the Windows firewall. So definitely a lot quicker. So how does one break Windows? So here's a tiny list that we're just going to focus on for today. So we have this thing called file print and sharing, which is this thing like, hey, I'm on the network, I'm using SMB, I have these open shares, come talk to me. And Windows just loves to talk to everyone. So if you have the ability to turn off file print sharing, great. But you don't always have the ability to turn it off, which we're going to get into a little bit later. Things like remote desktop. Thing to keep in mind with remote desktop. Windows is single user. So what does that mean? I only have one user logged into the box. So if you're sitting at your box and I see that you have remote desktop, and I go, whoo, all right, remote desktop, and I log on, guess who gets kicked out? Kind of interesting when you get kicked out. So, and not so much fun. So, DNS transfers, if you have a bunch of, if it's a DNS server, you have a bunch of records pointing to it, you can poison those DNS records and say, hey, I want these things to point over here to my malicious server. LSAS is a great process. It's actually a legitimate process in Windows, so don't be like, oh, LSAS, you gotta kill it! Don't do that. It can be used by attackers for malicious purposes. We're going to get a little bit more onto why that is. Pass the hash. Probably one of the worst decisions Microsoft has ever made, but we keep saying that. So pass the hash. So we all know what a password hash is, right? Yes? Yes. All right, cool. So we got this password hash. So we log onto a Windows box and it's on a domain, and we can dump the hash of the users that are currently logged on, or that are currently on the system. Let's say we've got a domain admin.
an admin on the domain, and we've got his hash. So, who hates typing in passwords all the time? Yeah, right? All those stupid things you gotta type in passwords. So Microsoft thought, well, we hate doing that too. Especially when you got a bunch of like remote shares all over the place and you don't want to be logging in. So they're like, so we'll do this great thing where we'll just pass the storage server or remote share that you're connected to the hash password that we have for this user. And if, again, if they agree saying, hey, I've got the same hash, it'll just log you in. So, we can do this maliciously. We got the hash, now we can just go around logging into every box with this hash. We don't even need the password, now we just need the hash. So, does that make sense? Anyone need me to make sense? Good? Alright, cool. And then we have Windows shares, which can be open and readable and writable to the entire world sometimes. Scheduled tasks, which are like cron job, and the Windows log. So, defense methodology. So, first thing you want to do, just change your password. Just do it. Just be the first thing that you do. If you don't have a service scoring, just disconnect the box from the internet. So sometimes it's easy to like this box is not going to be stored. If we don't need it on the network and we're not being stored on it, just disconnect it. And you can do that in competitions too if they allow you to do it. If it's not against the rules. Uncheck sharing RDP. RDP is remote desktop protocol. We just discussed how that's really bad to have enabled and how it can be taken over. Disable / delete unused accounts. So this is really hard in a competition to know what to do. And that's because white team may have a user that they need to white team may have an account on your box that they need to use to do white team stuff to give you guys scores for your services. So sometimes it's better to disable the user, and then if you need to you can re-enable, but if it's like this is not red team, you can obviously feel good to delete that one. And then change the password again and flick the NICs. Flick the NIC we're going to talk about a little bit. Audit processes, connections, network shares, services, etc. And then set up a firewall. And for the love of God, do not use Internet Explorer. So, again, change your password. So you're going to use the net command, net username, star. It's going to prompt you for a password. You're going to type it in, and it's going to ask you to reconfirm that password. Just type it in. Just do it. Default creds are the best way for red team to get into your box. Actually, most times that's the way that they always get into your box in the beginning of competitions is they know the passwords just like you do. So, flick the NIC. So let's flick the NIC. Flick the NIC is where you go to the interface, you disable it, and when you disable it, it clears the TCP stack and it kills all the connections in there. So if the red team's in your box, you just kill the connections that they had there, and then you can re-enable the interface, and it'll bring that box back online. So that's a real great way to clear any bad stuff that's going on in your box. So to get there, we do the Windows key as we discussed earlier. ncp a.cpl will bring you to the network control panel. Then you can disable the network interface and then re-enable it. So make sure to re-enable it. Don't be that goof who forgets to do it. Alright, so disable file and printer sharing. So again, this is where a majority of attacks come from. So if you have the ability to disable it, definitely do it. However, if you're on a domain controller, like you all will be later today, you can't disable file and printer sharing because you need it for domain services. So don't be that guy who disables it because you want to be secure. So there's other ways to lock down that service and make yourself more secure. So don't do that if you're on a domain. But if you're on a client, you can definitely at your leisure. So again, we talked about remote desktop. So this is how you go through and disable it and see if it's enabled. Sometimes you may need to leave remote desktop enabled in an enterprise environment. Make sure that you can go to the select users button and make sure that it's only users that need access to that box. So sometimes that RDP section will be grayed out. Don't freak out. It's not like it's 100% permanent. There is a registry key within the registry that you can change to gray out that section. So red team will enable it, and then go into the registry, change that key in registry so that you can't just check the checkbox. But if you go into registry, change that registry key, and then you go back, you'll be able to disable it. So just keep that in mind. All right.
So again, like we said, disable and delete any unused or unneeded accounts. Especially make sure that if you're on a domain controller like you will be today, that you're looking for local users because you don't need local users on a domain. So audit processes. So Windows key-R and then bring up Task Manager, the one that we all know and love. Kill anything like Notepad that you don't really need running unless you're using it. Kill anything that has random letters or looks really weird, like that one right there. Anything that has Office Updater A.exe. Obviously looks malicious, definitely kill it. And you guys get the point. So, and that's how you go about killing the actual process from the command line. PSKill works well, and we're going to talk about that more later when we talk about the sysinternals kit. And down there at the bottom is how you do it in PowerShell. Alright, so audit connections, we all know our favorite tool that we've come to love is Netstat. So Netstat is actually on Windows 2, which is great. Although some of the flags don't necessarily reflect the same way that they do in Linux, so just be wary of that. But you can do Netstat, just ANO, pipe it into find stir. Find stir is like grep. We're going to look for everything that's listening as they're on the right as you see. And then we can also look for established connections. Established connections are bad because they may be connecting to a red team. So keep those in mind. If you see them going to the red team network, kill them. Audit services, so like we talked about, services are like daemons, so you can have things like Telnet, INS Web, DNS and DHCP, so if you don't need them, disable them, get rid of them. A lot of times in competitions, they'll give you a bunch of services that you don't need. And it's just so that our red team has another way to get into your box, so just disable them. So, firewall. Depending on your OS, there may be two types of firewalls. As we discussed, we're going to talk about the NetSH firewall, which is the older one, and then the NetSH Advanced firewall, which is the newer one. And the ghetto firewall, as we discussed all the way in the beginning, is with XP and all that, but XP is deprecated, so we're not going to talk about and waste your guys' time talking about XP. So, what is a firewall? It's a piece of software that filters inbound and outbound traffic. There's a GUI, but you should also learn the command lines because it's so much faster. So, pro tip, hey, I got it right this time. Start right. The firewall account should be sent to the local service, or if you're running on a domain NTE, it's _authority/local service for servers. The firewall won't start if it's set as the guest user here, because it needs elevated privileges to start the firewall. This happened to me at ISTS, and I was really sad for a very long time because I didn't know why. So I figured that I'd give you guys this little tidbit because it made me really sad for a really long time because I had Netstat and I watched all their beacons all day long just called that until I figured out how to fix that. So Windows Advanced Firewall has profiles. So we have three different profiles. We have the domain, the public, and the private. The domain is when the computer can detect that it's on a domain network, and that's where rules for specifically for that domain are placed. The public profile is when you're like somewhere at like a coffee shop or something, place like that, where you don't really trust all the people on your network. And then private. Oh, I'm sorry, I got these mixed up. So I did get these mixed up, but anyway, private is for when you're on a private network where you're behind a network address translation such as NAT, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, or behind a firewall. And then public is when you're at something like an airport or coffee where you don't really necessarily trust the network that you're on and the users on. So, Windows Advanced Firewall. It looks really complicated at first, and so does IP tables. But the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and you kind of see that there's a pattern and kind of follows the similar pattern all the time. So definitely, if you want to do Windows, especially for CCDC, moving forward with competitions, the command line is going to be your best friend. So, I will give you all a little hint. PowerShell is really weird about some of the delimiters that are used in the firewall rules, so just use the plain old command line prompt, the old one, to do firewall rules. It works so much better, it doesn't complain. I don't understand why PowerShell wouldn't work if it's their new and latest and greatest command line, but here we are. So here's some common things to know. So we can do the top line there, which will show all the current firewall rules. If you're in a competition setting, and you feel really confident, there's probably no need to need all those firewall rules. Just wipe them. You don't know what they're doing. You don't have time to go through and figure out what they're doing. So just wipe them and figure out later what you need to do. So that's what that second command does, is turns on all profiles, and then the third one just gets rid of everything. And just write your own firewall so that you know you're only allowing in and out what you need to let in or out. And then we follow some examples. And then we have the task scheduler, which is like cron job. So we have different ways to create tasks, change tasks, and delete tasks. This is a really great way for red team to put in things like dumping your firewall rules and turning off your firewall every 5 minutes and stuff like that. So definitely look in your tasks. If you go to the, as you'll see later, as some of you will probably be like, I won't listen to that then. I know the GUI, I know my way around. And if you go to the task scheduler, you'll see like 50 different folders. No one wants to go through that. So just use the command line where you can print out what tasks are going in there.
And what's the command to see all the scheduled tasks on schedule?
Great question, I'll put it there. I thought I put it there. Oh, I put it on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it went. So I'll put it there later. But pretty much, if you don't need it, just get rid of it, just like the firewall. If you don't know what it does and you're pretty sure you can get rid of it, go for it. Scripting with Windows, it's freaking awesome. Do it. It'll save you a lot of time, especially in network, especially in competition, especially when you're writing firewall rules, as we just saw a couple slides ago. It's very exhaustive to write those rules. It looks really boring. No one wants to keep typing that out. So put your firewall rules into a script so that when red team deletes all your rules, you can be like, that's okay, I got a script, bitch, and then you run it again, we're good to go. So, and then here at the bottom, there's different levels of PowerShell scripts and what they can run at. So unrestricted is just like, hey, I download this random script off the internet and I just want to run it. So unrestricted is the way to do that. And the remote sign is the script's been signed by a verified author, such as Microsoft. So, all right, crash course on sysinternals in 5 minutes. This is my butter in jail. I love sysinternals. Just use it. Just do it. Just get it. Don't think about it. Just download it. Just get them. It's freaking awesome. It's the best tool suite. Tidbit, sysinternals was not actually made by Microsoft originally. So you know you can trust it if Microsoft didn't fuck it up at first and then they bought them out. So, alright. So the suite of Windows portable, it's a suite of portable Windows tools. Lots of tools within one toolkit to do Windows sysadmin and incident response type of things. They do have a live Samba share so that if you aren't able to download the tools or you don't want to, you can go to this live Samba share in a file explorer and you can run the tools from there. So we got some of the common tools that you might use in there. Auto runs, which will show you all the things that when your computer starts up or user logs in, what's running. So what programs are being executed, what scripts are being executed on boot or at login. Process Explorer, it's like Task Manager on freaking steroids. It's the best. If you ever do like IRSec or ISTS and you need to do incident response, Process Explorer is your go-to application because it gives you everything you need to see as an incident responder to respond to an incident. And also write that report effectively, which we'll see in the next couple of slides. TCP Viewer is like a better netstat in GUI form. So Process Explorer, you can upload processes to VirusTotal to verify them, which is freaking awesome. So you can be like, I don't know what all these processes are really doing. I'm kind of new here. I want to figure out what's kind of going on. So you can be like, hey, upload all these processes to VirusTotal. It'll put them into VirusTotal. VirusTotal will go, this is good, this is bad. So one thing to keep in mind, it'll only upload Windows processes. So and commonly known processes like processes of antivirus scanners and such, because those are commonly known things, but it won't scan random processes that it doesn't know about in its database. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that you can at least know what's not malicious from as far as Windows processes go. So that's one way to eliminate your scope and go, okay, these are the processes that I'm unsure about, I should investigate them a little more. And then there's a color scheme to the Process Explorer. So pink is all services running, which is really nice that you get to see all Windows processes and services running all on one screen. Blue is a currently user launch process. Cyan color is Windows app because, well, they just got bought out by Windows. And of course, Windows wants to have their own color for their own applications. Go figure. Purple indicates that it's a packed piece of software. So
Pack uses software, and Brad helped me out here so I explained this right. Have we all used like the strings command in Linux? So if you haven't used the string command in Linux, you can run it on a file and it'll give you text back and metadata that's in the file. It will return that type of strings in it back to you. If a piece of software is packed, you won't actually get any of that back. It'll just be a bunch of garbage. So that's what a lot of malware will actually do, is to stop you from doing malware analysis, and it will actually pack itself so that you can't do analysis such as saying maybe there's a domain that's calling back to or an IP address. So that's kind of one of those spotters that to kind of stick out like a sore thumb that needs a little bit more investigation. Green means it's newly launched, and red means it was just terminated, and dark gray means it was a suspended process. So I want to talk about suspended processes real quick because this is really freaking cool. So at ICS last year, if you all haven't had the pleasure of running into Mubix, he makes you cry when you're on Windows. Trust me, he makes me cry every year. He's really good at what he does. He has malware that is three-pronged. So there's three processes and they all look out for each other. So if you kill A, B, and C will work together to recreate A and start it running again. So if you try and kill B, A and C will just pick up the slack and create B again. So it's almost like it's pretty much almost impossible to try and kill this. So how do you do it? Great question, I'll tell you, because I think this is freaking awesome, and I used this last year at ISTS, where everyone was freaking out about this three-pronged process attack. We were doing okay. So what you can do is, if you got three-pronged process attack and you've narrowed it down to which three processes they are, you can right-click the process and click suspend. So what will that do is it won't kill the thread like killing a process will do. It'll just hang it there, but it won't actually execute it. So the other processes will still see it as alive, which is awesome. So they still see it as alive. So they're like, hey, we're all Gucci here because he's still alive. And then you can suspend all his other friends. And then from there you can do more malware internal processes to clean the actual malware. So definitely keep that in mind when you're in competition, when you have multiple processes watching out for each other. That's one way to do it. If you can't kill a process, give it the lowest priority. That's one way of doing it too if you can't kill it. Just different things to try. So, again, if you right click on a process and you click properties, it'll show you all this wonderful information, which is great. If you at the top there, you got TCP IP tab, which is freaking awesome. It'll show you all the TCP information about that. So if you think a process is malicious and you want to see all the connection information about it to see if it's connecting back to red team, just click that tab. And if it is, do a quick incident response right there, because you got all the information you need. You got the time that it started. You got the file path where the program started. You can even submit the virus total, because I think you wowed them by saying, hey, we submitted the virus total with a quick button right there. You got all this wonderful information in one little window. And then you got TCP viewer, which I talked about earlier, which is like a prettier version of NetSet. And as you can right-click the process and click on who is, and do a search on the IP to see if anyone's tagged it as malicious, or to see who's calling back to a specific domain. Bright green means connection was just initiated, and bright red means connection was just terminated. Auto runs, as we discussed earlier, is showing you what's being started at user login or boot. So, and it'll show a lot more. So it'll show like loaded DDLs that start at boot. It'll even show you drivers that have started at boot. So it shows you everything like that, and it's really freaking great. Definitely look into it. Even like Microsoft Word has some sketchy things that start at boot. I don't know why Microsoft Word needs to have its own tab in its own special section, but it does. So it's a common way to hide stuff. So the demo /goal/rules for today. So no disabling the NIC. That doesn't mean you can't click the NIC. That's okay. That's where you turn it off and turn it right back on. It's down for less than a second. You must allow Active Directory and DNS traffic because you're running a domain controller. So we're trying to give you guys some real-world experiences. You need to keep those services up, and you need to allow them through your firewall. Also, so you need to keep them up. And last one, as we discussed, you need to keep file and printer sharing enabled because you need that to be able to run a domain controller effectively. So keep those in mind. Those are the rules for today for the engagement. You guys will be defending a Windows domain controller. So any questions? I know I went through that really fast. I can explain anything if anyone's a little fuzzy about something. Oh.
Last week?
Yes, but I want to make sure no one has any questions. I can explain anything. If you want me to go back and touch on something, if it's about system kernels, that's my jam. I love talking about it. All right, cool. While Brian's coming out, I'll just go to the next thing. So system kernels, there's the download link. It's for free. And then I included this nice YouTube video for the creator of system kernels. It's an hour long, but I guarantee that if you want to do Windows stuff, it'll be the best video you ever watch. It's definitely worth your time. All the cool things about system kernels that I told you about, I learned from that video. And I've never found a better resource about system kernels on the internet than this video. And he's actually entertaining. He's not boring during his talk. He actually does like actual malware analysis with the system kernels tool. So definitely watch that. All right. Go for it, Isaac.
How many of you guys enjoyed the demo last week and breaking into my stuff and making me cry a little bit? Alright, so there were a few extra backdoors added that week from the previous one. I'll see if I can get some bigger fonts here. That's not what I wanted. Bigger fonts? No. You guys see that? Yeah. Sweet. Okay. So there were three little special presents I dropped for you guys. So one of them was I put a shell in your web directory that was like not good. So how many of you have heard of the C99 shell? So for those of you who are unaware, the C99 shell is a PHP shell. So what that means is it is very easy to run on web servers, since a lot of them are using PHP. So you can upload it to the server, and then if you can browse to the URL and get the PHP to execute, you essentially have file access, shell access, you can access users, you can modify the system based on permissions that the web user has. So the location for this is /var/www.html, which is the default web directory install on -Box. And then if you do an ls, you can see this beautiful c99.php, which is totally not the backdoor. So if you read that, you can see the flag right here. So that's like just to give you a little idea of one of the common ways that people can get into or stay in your system. Another one was a little extension off of the bash backdoor. How many of you the previous week found the for loop that I had written that was setting aliases? Alright, so I extended off of that a little bit. So that was in the C profile. So every time you run bash, it loads up a lot of like external scripts. So you can run bash-x, which is the debug option. That will show you every single line of bash code that is being run whenever you run a command or when you initialize bash. Using that, you can see the files that are being initialized when bash is running. So one that gets called is this bash_completion.sh right here, which handles setting bash completion. So the previous week, I had set a whole bunch of backdoors inside of this. There are no more backdoors, but it's still there. So the little trick here is at the very top is this line. Source user share bash dash completion slash bash dash completion. Well, that's actually legitimate-ish, because right down here we have user share bash dash completion bash underscore completion. One of these things doesn't belong. So if you go to slash user slash share slash bash completion, you get two very similar files. If you look at bash underscore completion, well, this is just bash stuff like that. That's normal. Okay. Well, what's this? What's this one? Oh wow, that's backdoor. So basically, the source command inside of the bash dash completion in etc profile D, what that does is that every time that file gets run, source will execute the file that's provided. So you can use that to add like little stuff like this. You can call in external scripts to make it a little bit less clear to people auditing and securing the system that there is a backdoor or code that is not being meant to be run in the file. Useful tips, definitely check for those. Bash dash X also will be a really good friend for helping to find backdoors in bash, because that will tell you, it is incredibly verbose. You will get vomited logs, but it will tell you every single line of code that is running, and I have broken a lot of RC3 demos in previous years by using that. And that was the most fun one, which I've only gotten one message about a person solving this. I don't know if anyone else has, but if you go to the directory of the RC3 user, you see this little fun thing here, backdoor. Super not obvious. How many of you know PAM is? Heard of it? Used it? Explored it? Okay, so PAM is Pluggable Authentication Modules. It is how Linux performs authentication and authorization of the system. So basically, every time you enter a password, it is shoveled into PAM. Any service, SSH, sudo, su, logging in, every time you are logging in, you are dealing with PAM. More specifically, you're dealing with the PAM underscore Unix module, which is the local host authentication. So if you cd into Linux PAM backdoor, now, so one of the ways you could have found this flag is you could have seen that I left the version number of Linux PAM there. So you could have downloaded the source code of Linux PAM 1.1.8, and you could have diffed every single file in there and found my flag, because I hid it so that you couldn't just grep for RC3. So if you go on this, and if you investigate it a little bit, if you like investigated PAM relation before it is, you would see that it is modules / Linux PAM Unix, and then in here you have all these files. So the one you need to look for is PAM Unix auth.c. This file has all the code that is dealt with whenever you log in. This receives your password and your username. This handle is authenticating you as a user. That is the crappiest color scheme I've ever seen. So let's turn that off, because that is absolutely disgusting.
Is that background equals dark?
That sounds hard. So basically, so you have this function right here, which is all the way up. This is PAM SM authenticate. So this receives basically your username and password, and then it will handle the authentication for you. So if you go all the way down here, you see this little fun line right here.
Right, I don't see anything on the that's the good code.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it really? Because
It says it is.
this yeah, really, it's legitimate code.
Yeah.
This is not a backdoor. This line totally does not always allow you to authenticate with any password for any user everywhere. Basically, I did that, recompiled it, and this line basically says always return success. Every password you enter is correct. Every username you enter is correct. Log into the system. And then the fun part comes in from where I put in etc. Wow, I screwed up. Password. Every single user logs in as bash. So yeah, you can log in as any of these users and execute code with any password. Have fun fixing that one. Any questions about any of the stuff I just talked about? Those are the 3 backdoors that I added last week. Any questions? No?
go upstairs. Let's do it.
Good stuff.
Next week's my team.
What?
You gonna be ready?
Oh yeah. Alright.
I'm gonna write some hours for you guys.
Oh god, don't you dare. I literally just, no, I just, the way you said that, I was totally picturing you writing a hat fix.